Improve your business, improve your life. I'm Jim Ratchford, Executive Director of the Texas Consilium. When we use the term improve your business, there's a good chance that the image that you bring up may be different from the image that we have, and most everyone's may be different because we all come to this point from a different set of experiences and perspectives. What I'd like to do is try to bring clarity to what improve your business means so that we can have a shared vision of what that means with Texas Consilium. It's a common theme throughout our website and all of our communication materials about improve your business. We say it in different ways, but that's the whole focus of what we do. Our mission is to improve the profitability and growth of Texas businesses and thereby also the prosperity and growth of the state of Texas. We are an economic development organization for your community and the state of Texas. We measure our success based on the impact we create, and we measure impact based on cost savings in your business, revenue growth of your business, the overall profit improvement of your business, and client satisfaction, which we're very pleased to report that today is 10 out of 10. So Texas Consilium, improve your business. Let's delve a little more deeply into what that means. In most every business, we find that the employees and the leaders of the business tend to view everything as normal. They're coming in today expecting to do pretty much what they did yesterday and will plan to come back tomorrow and do it again. This is the way we do it. This is normal. This is how we've always done it. Our business improvement process starts with let's envision what your future might be. And then let's understand where you are today and what's the gap. What's keeping you from where you are today to where it is you want to be in your future. We'll assign a team of subject matter experts who can explore the options and assess the alternatives in every functional area of your business. We'll work with you to select a course of action, and then we'll develop, test, and document that solution with you. We'll train your employees in how to do things differently. We'll implement that improvement, and then you can achieve the benefits. We'll monitor and repeat that process for continuous improvement. We have a growing team of business advisors and subject matter experts who have 20, 30 or more years of experience. They can dive deeply into their area of expertise in your business. We can bring a team together that's customized for your business and the issues that need to be addressed, again, to get you from where you are to where you want to be. If you were building a building, you would engage a team of architects and engineers and a general contractor to make your vision a reality. The general contractor, in turn, would engage the steel workers, the concrete, the electricians, the plumbers, the sheetrockers, the painters, and all of those skill sets necessary to make your vision a reality, to bring everything together so your building functioned and looked like you wanted it to. Think of your Texas Consilium team as that same team bringing the various skill sets together to remodel your business while you and your team do what you do best, which is to run your business. We can help you make the changes to get your business where you want it to be and make your vision for the future a reality. Let's go into some case studies and paint that picture a little more clearly. Most every business has profit leaks. That's a large focus of what we work with. Your customers' money flows in, but your bucket isn't full and you're simply not achieving your goals. Your money and effort are lost forever whenever your bucket has holes. Those holes tend to be small. Leaks tend to occur in lots of different places. There can be some large holes, but let's take a look at what this means in real life. So we have a culture in America of paying our workers by the hour, and that creates a natural misalignment of the employees' objectives with those of the company. This isn't restricted to contractors, but it's particularly prevalent there. It could apply anywhere to any industry. But typically the company would like for the workers to get their work done as quickly as possible at the lowest labor cost possible. But the employees are often thinking, how could I make more money? And the way for the employees to make more money is to take longer to do the work typically. And if they can take long enough to get the job into overtime, they get a bonus. Exactly the opposite of what the company wants to have happen. And so you may also have a situation where the service techs have access to your truck, your tools, and your inventory. Another way for employees to make more money is to moonlight after hours with your truck, tools, and inventory. And if you're not careful, if you don't have good internal controls, you can have tremendous losses from that. So this particular client was doing about $15 million a year, had very weak internal controls, lack of control over inventory, and there were three primary issues that were costing the company substantial amounts of money. One was that overage of labor cost, both in the hours paid as well as overtime, and then also shrinkage of inventory. And then a third component, which was the service techs often would not bill customers for work performed. They would spend the time to do it. They would install the parts to do it, but they wouldn't necessarily bill the customer because it made no difference to them, and they got a great rating from the customer by doing extras like that. We implemented controls to, first of all, align the employees' objectives with those of the company. Let's let them make more money by performing better, more efficiently, instead of taking longer to do it. Let's put controls into place over the inventory. The impact was about a $4 million a year add to the bottom line for the company. By the way, throughout these case studies, the images that you see are not the actual clients. These are representations. The work we do for clients is all confidential, as it would be for you or any other client we work with. Our second case study involves a concrete plant. This is a plant where they take the gravel, sand, cement, and additives and create the various mixtures of cement and deliver it by truck to the job sites. As we analyzed what was happening with this plant, we determined that they had an adverse selection in their pricing. Basically, they were pricing out their product based on the materials that go into it and using their trucks to deliver it. Delivery was the same regardless of where the job site was. What we found was that the customers with job sites 50 miles away were ordering lots of concrete from them. The nearby jobs a mile or two away were often buying from competitors on the other side of town because it was a more competitive price. So we restructured their pricing model to take into account the time and the cost for the delivery so that the jobs that were far away would bear a higher price, taking into account that delivery. The jobs closer to the plant could actually be performed at a cheaper price, allowing the company to improve their market share, compete against those on the other side of town, and increase their capacity because they could turn those trucks much more quickly and increase their revenue with the same number of trucks. This case study involves a retailer, and as we got into it and analyzed their inventory and the movement of product, we determined that the top 10% of their sales came from 16 SKUs. The bottom 10% of their sales came from 30,000 SKUs. More than half the shelf space in their store was taken up by non-moving or slow-moving items. So we implemented an inventory management system to track those non-moving and slow-moving items, work them out off the shelves, and also align their organizational structure with responsibility for each of those areas of inventory. This case study involves a wholesale nursery. This was a more challenging case in many ways because the issue was invisible. It involved conflicting strategies. The wholesale nursery operation had been around for 50 years. They planted trees, shrubs, and flowers. And a number of years back, their marketing director had decided that the retail nurseries that they often sold their products to needed other products besides what they grew. So they got into distributing flower pots, water hoses, and a lot of other products. The company spent substantial resources expanding out their online catalog and their print catalog to include all of these other products, and their salespeople were tasked with selling not only the nursery items, but also the distributed products. This created a conflict in strategies. If you're a producer, a wholesale nursery operation, your basic strategy is to produce everything you can within your capacity and then sell everything you produce. Use that capacity. But if you're a distributor, you don't care who produces what you sell. You're simply looking at what do those customers want, and you're arranging to provide it. And so it placed their salespeople in a position of not having to switch back and forth between these two strategies, doing it subconsciously, but that was the case. But as a result, what was happening is some of the trees and shrubs were growing so large, they weren't being sold, that the company could no longer transplant them. They'd bring a bulldozer in to clear out the fields and start that over. It had really diminished the company's profitability into the point of a loss. And so we worked with them to identify this conflict they had in their strategy, separate the businesses, return the focus to each of these in a way that made sense, and certainly return them to health. This next case study involves a fabricator of primarily granite countertops. They had a very automated system for producing these, did fantastic work, but they were marginally profitable. As we analyzed their situation, we determined that they were operating just barely above their break-even point at about 30% of capacity. So the real challenge here, while there were some cost savings and efficiencies that might be retained, the biggest issue, the biggest opportunity cost they were incurring was too little revenue. With their automated system, they could produce these and have a variable margin of about 50%. They needed more revenue. Let's use that capacity. Let's push our sales out. Let's retain the business we have, but find markets to expand our sales. And it's very much like a hotel model or an airline model. Take a Las Vegas strip hotel, and when the convention is in town, they might get $600 a night for that room. If it's the weekend, no convention, they might get $200 a night for the tourists coming from California who work during the week. But if it's the middle of the week and there's no convention and the tourists can't come from California, then it's the Social Security retired set. That same room goes for $49. The hotels understand that their variable cost for that room is about $20. That's the cost for the maid to come in and change the soap, shampoo, towels, and sheets. Anything over $20 that they can get is either profit or at least overhead contribution, but do not let that room go empty. As a result, those hotels tend to operate at 95% capacity day in, day out, 365 days a year. Apply that same concept to this stone design job shop. Let's use that capacity. Let's put that machine to work. Let's produce everything we can. We may cut our margins. We may find different markets, segment the market, but don't let that capacity go unused. The next case study involves another contractor, and this is one where the labor cost was out of line with what the expectations were, and it had been that way consistently for the full 5 years that we initially analyzed. We expected to go out in the field and find that there were inefficient procedures in what they were doing, inefficient processes, lackadaisical work behaviors. But our first observation in the field was that the workers tended to be working in a workmanlike manner, always some room for improvement, but not enough that we saw to justify the large overage. So we delved more deeply into it, made other visits out, took attendance, and ultimately traced the payroll records. Because we work holistically, we're not just observing operations, we're delving into the details of the finances, and we determined that there were people being paid in the payroll system that we could not account for being present at the job site. Upon further study, we also reviewed internal controls. That's part of our standard processes, and we determined that the company had very weak internal controls. Some people who had access to company resources also had access to the payroll systems and other accounting information, and that's always an opportunity for misdeeds. And what we found was that certain trusted leaders had created jobs outside of the company. They were generating revenue from customers, but they were taking the employees of the company, having them work on those jobs, and the company was paying the payroll. And this was something that apparently had gone on for a long time. In forensics review, perhaps 10 years or more. The cost of this was roughly $2 million a year, possibly a little bit more. So this was a huge cost to the company. We put system of internal controls into place to remedy this, and again align the employees' objectives with those of the company and create a certain transparency in the field that aligned those employees with the company. You never know what you're going to find. Every time you look at a symptom, there can be 101 root causes for it. The real key to what we do is to find the root cause. Let's delve in and really understand what's going on and get it fixed. This is not that unusual. You don't necessarily hear about it as much, but here's another case study, and this is not one of our clients, but Collins Street Bakery. Many of you may be familiar with it. Longtime Texas company, more than 100 years, based in Corsicana, Texas. Just a few years ago, 2014-15, it turned out their controller was convicted of embezzlement, more than $16.7 million. This is not a huge company. That had to be a tremendously significant amount of money to them, and yet this embezzlement went on for some 10 years undetected. One of those cases, again, where to the people within the business, everything that they saw simply looked normal. They had no idea that this was going on. It happens all the time. Albert Einstein said problems cannot be solved with the same mindset that created them. We're big believers in that. That outside perspective is so important in helping see the issues and also see how things could be better in guiding the process for improvement. I want to make it clear, too, that big improvements aren't always about the big things. So what would happen if we simply engineered 10% improvements throughout your business? So let's start with a simple profit engineering model. Let's take a company with $10 million in revenue and $500,000 of annual net income. Let's make 10% improvements throughout and see what happens. So we begin by breaking down the processes that lead to a given result. Their current $10 million of sales may come from 5,000 leads with a 25% closing rate and an average sale per customer of $8,000. That's how we get the 10 million. Let's work on each of those. Let's increase the leads by 10%, the closing rate by 2.5 percentage points, and the average sale per customer by $800. Revenues are now up to $13.3 million. Let's reduce those direct costs of goods sold by 5 percentage points and our other expenses by 4.5 percentage points. Net income has now gone from 5% to 14.5%. That's a 286% increase in profit by doing nothing more than little 10% increases throughout the business. It makes a huge difference. And if you're the owner of the business, that increase in net income increases the value of your business by a huge multiple. In this case, a $7 million increase in the value of the business. By the way, that's more than a 10 times return on the investment that would be required for us to get you there. And that's our goal, is for every client we work with at least a 10 times impact on what we're doing. I know that it's often viewed in business that bringing in outside advisors, consultants, or coaches is viewed as a sign of weakness or failure. I'd like to get past that. Let's look at what happens with the greatest athletes in the world. Whether they play for the NBA, the NFL, or Olympic champions, great athletes always have great coaches. And it's not because as athletes they don't have talent. In fact, it's because they do. They recognize that to become the best at what they do, they need that outside perspective to help them hone that talent to make it the best that it can be. I believe that's the same in sports as it is in business. If you believe that you and your team have talent, wouldn't it make sense to help that talent become the best it can be to help you and your team become champions? So what does it mean to improve your business? It means getting you from where you are to where you want to be in your business and in your life. There is no cookie cutter approach to what we do. There's a process we follow, but every business is unique. Your business issues aren't unique. We've seen them many times before. But getting you from where you are to where you want to be involves a very customized approach specifically for you and your business. So if you'd like to improve your business, it all begins with a meeting. Let's have a conversation about where you are, where you'd like to be, and let's explore whether we might be able to help you improve your business. Thank you very much.